With more than 800 miles of Pacific coastline, you would think that one problem California wouldn't have to worry about is having enough sand, beach sand. But up and down its coast, many California beach cities face a growing problem. Their sand is disappearing. Just ask Leslia Meyerhoff, the coastal administrator of the Orange County seaside community of San Clemente.
People love the beach. People are always going to love the beach, and we're losing our beaches.
When Meyerhoff says San Clemente is losing its beaches, she means they're steadily shrinking. With waves and currents scouring sand off the city's beaches faster than it can be naturally replenished. Why? Well, climate change and rising sea levels play a role, but the bigger culprit is inland development, urban and suburban sprawl, sometimes far from the beach, that makes it harder for new sediment to get to the coast where it can become new sand. But maybe the single biggest enemy of sand creation is water control infrastructure, especially dams. Professor Brett Sanders, a coastal engineering expert at UC Irvine, explains.
We built dams all across the California coast. And the strategy behind the dams in most areas was either to provide flood control for downstream communities, in some cases to provide water supply. But the dams have now blocked the natural supply of sediment that the coastline needs to be healthy. And so the ocean is still coming. The ocean waves still crash one after another. But the supply of sand that's needed from the land to counterbalance, the energy of that ocean is not being supplied at the same rate it once was. And so now we're seeing accelerated rates of beach erosion.
So to get more sand to their beaches, many coastal cities have replaced Mother Nature with heavy machinery. In sand-starved San Clemente, the city has trucked in new sand from miles inland. And in partnership with the Army Corps of Engineers, the city is also dredging up sand from offshore, where it's then sent to the water's edge through a pipe and then blasted onto the beach. Heavy equipment then moves all that sand to the right place. The process is loud and industrial and temporarily shuts down parts of the coastline. So I asked San Clemente's coastal administrator, Leslia Meyerhoff, what would happen if the city didn't do this work?
So the beaches would continue to narrow, and it would just continue up to the point where you would lose your beach entirely. There would be no trail, there would be no lifeguard towers on the beach, there would be no picnic tables, fire pits, no area to lay your beach towel, basically to come and enjoy the beach with your family.
I mean, for all practical purposes, the beach would be gone.
The beach would be gone.
And a beach that's gone would also threaten critical coastal infrastructure, like the rail line that connects Los Angeles and San Diego. Sand acts like a buffer or shock absorber to protect what people build near the ocean. To save its beaches, San Clemente estimates it will take 50 years of regular effort and 2 million cubic yards of sand, or enough to cover 1,200 football fields in a foot of material. And remember, sand scarcity isn't just a San Clemente problem. 20 miles to the south, the city of Oceanside is facing an even tougher sand challenge than San Clemente. At high tide, some of its beaches disappear completely, with walls of boulders protecting homes from the surf like medieval fortifications. Oceanside resident Bruce Folks has watched the beaches here shrink since the 1960s. What does this beach look like now versus 50, 60 years ago?
Boy, it's a disaster.
It's a disaster because?
Because of the erosion.
So to keep its beaches from vanishing, Oceanside is considering a new sand restoration strategy, says Charlie Bowen with the group Save Oceanside Sand.
We believe the solution is not only sand nourishment to add sand back to the system, but also a retention mechanism to assist it in sticking around.
Bowen's group supports a first-of-its-kind project in the U.S., which would install artificial headlands and an offshore reef to slow the erosion of Oceanside's beaches when new sand is placed on them. It's supposed to be an improvement over more conventional sand replenishment projects like San Clemente's.
That's a pretty disruptive process. It tends to disrupt the coastal habitat right near shore, and it also is ugly. People don't like dredges and pipes and bulldozers on the sand. So the reduced amount of nourishment because of the retention allows you to sustain a beach much better.
But replenishing beach sand, whatever the method, comes with a big price tag. Oceanside's effort, which has won approval from its city council, will cost between $30 and $50 million. Meanwhile, in San Clemente, its sand replenishment project, projected to take decades, will cost between $140 and $300 million.
So it definitely has a significant impact on a city like San Clemente, which is a relatively small town, doesn't have any five-star hotels, doesn't have a lot of hotel tax to rely on. So the city's really having to dig deep to define how they're going to pay for this long-term beach nourishment.
Right now, San Clemente is getting state and federal funds to help pay for sand nourishment, but a ballot measure to hike the local municipal sales tax to help pay for future work failed to pass in last year's election. Meanwhile, in San Clemente and a lot of other California beach cities, the waves keep coming and the sand keeps slipping away. I'm Saul Gonzalez.